Welcome to Liberty Audiobook channel. Today, we delve into a transformative guide that promises to empower you in every facet of your life. The Art of Negotiation by Tim Castle. This is not just a book. It is a profound blueprint for mastering persuasion, navigating conflict, and securing the outcomes you truly desire. Power, influence, control. These are not abstract concepts reserved for the elite or the powerful figures in boardrooms or on the global stage. They are, in fact, the hidden forces at play in every single conversation you have every day of your life. From the moment you wake up, you are engaged in a constant dance of influence. When you speak, when you ask, when you listen, you are actively shaping the world around you. But the critical question is, are you doing it with purpose? Or are you simply reacting, leaving countless opportunities on the table, allowing circumstances to dictate your path instead of consciously forging it? In a world where the loudest voice often commands the most attention, where aggressive tactics are sometimes mistaken for strength, what if the true, enduring power actually lies elsewhere? What if it resides in quiet strategy, profound empathy, and a deep, nuanced understanding of the art behind every human interaction? The Art of Negotiation by Tim Castle is not merely a theoretical guide. It is an indispensable weapon, a practical, step-by-step map designed to reveal precisely how to transform seemingly insurmountable pressure into unshakable confidence, how to convert bitter conflict into powerful cooperation, and how to harness hesitation, turning it into undeniable power. This audiobook will fundamentally rewire how you think, how you speak, and ultimately how you win in every area of your life. Get ready to unlock what is arguably the most underrated superpower of your existence. The deals are waiting. The decisions are yours to make. Let us embark on this journey together. Chapter 1. The Power of Negotiation. Why it matters more than you think. Welcome to The Art of Negotiation by Tim Castle. In this foundational first chapter, we will strip away misconceptions and dive deep into what negotiation truly means, why its mastery is not just beneficial, but absolutely essential in every area of your life, and how the insights within this book are poised to transform not only your ability to strike advantageous deals, but also your entire mindset, boosting your confidence and improving your life's outcomes. Let us begin with a profound truth, one that many people overlook or simply fail to recognize. You are always negotiating. This is not just about high-stakes corporate mergers or legal battles. It permeates every single interaction. Consider your daily life, whether you are closing $1 million contract for your business, advocating for a promotion at work, skillfully buying a new car, or even making the seemingly simple decision of where to go for dinner with your family or friends. In each of these scenarios, you are engaged in negotiation. Life, at its core, is a constant, dynamic conversation of influence, a continuous interplay of wants, needs, and desires. Tim Castle boldly asserts that negotiations is not an exclusive domain for CEOs, seasoned lawyers, or aggressive salespeople. It is, unequivocally, a fundamental life skill. And by mastering this skill, you actively reclaim the power of choice, putting it firmly back in your own hands. You shift from being a passive participant in your life to an active, intentional creator of your destiny. But here is the crucial catch, and it is a significant one. Most people never truly learn how to negotiate effectively. They often perceive it as confrontational, inherently stressful, or something only the naturally persuasive or cutthroat individuals can accomplish. Tim Castle's groundbreaking work shatters this pervasive myth. He argues that genuine negotiation is not about being pushy, aggressive, or manipulative. Instead, it is about being strategic, deeply self-aware, and courageously bold. It is about cultivating the unwavering willingness to clearly ask for what you want, and, just as importantly, refusing to settle for anything less than what you deserve. Castle opens his book with an exceptionally clear and compelling message. You can get what you want every single time if you commit to learning and mastering this skill. This is not a promise designed to lure you in. It is a direct challenge. It demands fundamental mindset shift, a transformation in how you view yourself and your interactions with the world. The ability to negotiate effectively means you no longer shrink away from opportunities or allow them to pass you by. Instead, you confidently walk into them, fully equipped, self-assured, and ready to shape the outcome. So, why do most people actively avoid negotiation? The reasons are deeply ingrained, often stemming from childhood. Many of us are raised with the belief that asking for more is inherently rude, greedy, or presumptuous. We are taught not to appear demanding, to be polite, to go with the flow. Consequently, we develop a profound fear of rejection, a discomfort with challenging the status quo, and an apprehension of the potential failure. So, we remain silent. We passively accept the first offer presented to us. We allow life to happen to us, rather than consciously creating the outcomes we desire and deserve. Tim Castle directly challenges this deeply ingrained passivity. He declares, negotiation is not about arguing. It is about communicating with intention. Think of this profound truth. If you do not ask, the answer is already a definitive no. In fact, the very act of not negotiating is silently costing you invaluable resources every single day: your time, your money, your peace of mind, your confidence, and countless missed opportunities. Castle's research and experience reveal a consistent pattern. People who succeed consistently in any field are not just naturally talented or exceptionally lucky. They have actively learned and mastered how to negotiate effectively. They take bold action. They speak up for themselves and their vision. They proactively position themselves for success. This is not manipulation. It is profound ownership of their lives and their potential. Here is another secret Tim Castle wants everyone to know, a truth that liberates and empowers. Great negotiators are made, not born. It is not about possessing an extroverted personality or an intimidating demeanor. It is, fundamentally, about meticulous preparation, absolute clarity of purpose, and a resilient mindset. Castle himself readily admits he was not naturally persuasive or fearless. He cultivated this essential skill through diligent repetition, learning from trial and error, and an unwavering commitment to personal growth. What truly separates average negotiators from truly great ones is not merely technique, it is belief. Do you genuinely believe you deserve more? Are you willing to courageously challenge the status quo, even when it feels uncomfortable? Can you confidently and articulately state, "This is what I want, and here is precisely why"? Castle's own journey is replete with instances where saying a courageous yes to bold opportunities and negotiating with conviction completely altered his life's trajectory. He teaches from the crucible of real-world experience, not abstract theory. And what makes his message so profoundly inspiring is this: if I can do it, you can too. Negotiation, in its purest form, is confidence in action. When you engage in negotiation, you are truly doing something extraordinarily powerful. You are standing up for yourself. You are declaring unequivocally that your time, your ideas, your contributions, and your goals matter. This is precisely why negotiation stands as one of the most empowering, transformative skills you can possibly develop. Tim Castle views negotiation as the ultimate confidence-building exercise. Each time you meticulously prepare for a conversation, each time you calmly and clearly state your case, each time you courageously ask for more, you are not just building a skill, you are forging something far deeper: inner strength, resilience, and self-worth. And this is not confined to the realm of business deals. Negotiation actively helps you improve your personal relationships, skillfully navigate complex conflicts, confidently protect your boundaries, and make clear, decisive decisions, even under immense pressure. So, what exactly will this audiobook teach you? This comprehensive summary will guide you through the core principles, practical techniques, and essential mindset shifts that Tim Castle meticulously outlines in his book. But it will also do something more profound. It will challenge you to think differently, to expand your perception of what is possible. You will learn how to prepare like a seasoned professional, how to speak with undeniable clarity and conviction, how to gracefully handle objections with calm and poise, and how to remain resilient even when circumstances become challenging. You will discover why preparation accounts for 90% of your success. You will learn practical strategies to build instant rapport and foster deep trust. You will understand what it truly takes to ask for what you want without the crippling grip of fear. You will master the art of transforming rejection into exciting new opportunities. And you will come to realize why mastering this often overlooked skill could very well be the key to unlocking your next big breakthrough in business, in relationships, and in life. Castle is not promising that negotiation will always be easy. He is, however, unequivocally promising that it is profoundly worth it. And with the right mindset, the appropriate tools, and consistent repetition, you can become the kind of individual who negotiates boldly, lives purposefully, and truly lives without artificial limits. So take a deep breath, stand tall, ground yourself, and get ready. Because this journey is not just about learning to negotiate. It is about learning to truly own your inherent worth, to speak your authentic truth, and to never, ever settle again. Chapter 2: The Mindset of a Negotiator. Confidence, Courage, and Self-Belief. before you even begin to learn a single tactic, a clever technique, or a persuasive phrase. You must first master the one fundamental element that undeniably shapes every negotiation you will ever encounter: your mindset. Tim Castle makes this crystal clear. Negotiation is not solely about the words you utter, the arguments you construct, or the points you score. Far more profoundly, it is about how you think. Your deeply held beliefs, your prevailing attitude, and your internal narrative set the tone and often determine the outcome long before the actual conversation even commences. And the negotiator, who genuinely believes in their own value, instinctively trusts their gut, and walks into the room with an abundance of courage, will, more often than not, emerge victorious. This is the inner game of negotiation, and Castle argues it is the most important part. It does not begin when you enter the room, but much earlier, within the confines of your own mind. If you carry an undercurrent of doubt, fear, or a pervasive sense of unworthiness, these internal states will inevitably seep into your tone of voice, manifest in your body language, and subtly undermine your chosen words. Conversely, if you enter a negotiation radiating quiet confidence and a crystal clear sense of purpose, others will instinctively feel it. That palpable energy is what shifts power dynamics, drawing others in and influencing their perceptions. So, what constitutes a truly strong negotiation mindset? Castle brilliantly distills it into 3 foundational pillars, each interdependent and crucial: self-belief, unwavering confidence in your value, and the courage to boldly ask for more. Let us explore each one in detail. First, self-belief. You are worth it. At the very core of every powerful and effective negotiator lies its unshakable, non-negotiable truth: I deserve to be here. I deserve to ask for what I want. Tim Castle positions self-belief as the absolute bedrock. Without it, even the most sophisticated tactics will crumble. With it, even average techniques can produce remarkable results. You do not need to be the loudest voice attempting to dominate the room. You need to be the clearest voice, grounded in conviction. Self-belief means you intrinsically know what unique value, skills, and perspectives you bring to the table. You trust your meticulous preparation. You recognize your inherent right to advocate for yourself, your team, your business, and your future. How do you cultivate and strengthen self-belief? It is built by consistently stacking small wins, by faithfully keeping promises to yourself, and by regularly rehearsing your worth until it becomes an automatic, ingrained instinct. Affirm this truth to yourself daily: I am not here to beg for approval. I am here to create immense value, and to confidently claim what is fair and just. Second, confidence in your value. One of the most common and detrimental mistakes people make is entering a negotiation without a crystal clear, deeply internalized understanding of their own value. They show up merely asking, but without truly knowing what justifies their request. Castle pushes you to engage in both the inner work of safe reflection and the outer work of objective assessment. What are your unique strengths? What tangible outcomes or positive impacts have you consistently created for others? What makes your specific offer, your product, your service, or indeed you as an individual uniquely valuable? Confidence is not synonymous with arrogance. It is, rather, profound clarity. You are not over-promising. You are simply stating for facts. You're presenting evidence of the undeniable value you bring. And here is a crucial secret. People mirror your belief. If you sound hesitant or unsure, they will inevitably doubt you. If you speak with quiet, grounded authority, they will instinctively lean in, listen, and respect your position. Negotiation is not about receiving a favor. It is a value exchange. If you aspire to win consistently, you must fully own and confidently articulate the value you bring to that table. Third, courage to ask for more. This is often where most people falter, not because they lack the technical know-how of negotiation, but because they are paralyzed by fear. Fear of rejection, fear of appearing greedy or self-serving, fear of offending someone, or simply the fear of hearing the dreaded word, no. But Castle ingeniously flips the script. A no is not rejection. It is merely the beginning of the real conversation. He teaches that courage is a muscle, much like any other in your body. The more you consciously use it, the stronger and more resilient it becomes. The more frequently you ask, the easier and more natural it gets. This is not about being aggressive or confrontational. It is about being boldly assertive. It is about consciously stepping into your inherent power and clearly articulating, "This is what I want, and here is precisely why it makes logical sense." Because, fundamentally, if you do not ask, you simply do not get. And if you do not believe in yourself enough to ask, you implicitly give the world permission to undervalue you. Castle's mantra here is simple, yet utterly transformative. If you do not ask, the answer is always no. This leads us to a crucial perspective shift, moving from scarcity to abundance. Many individuals approach negotiations with a deep-seated scarcity mindset. What if I lose this deal entirely? What if they say no and walk away, and there is nothing else? What if I irrevocably ruin this relationship? But Castle urges you to transition to an abundance mindset. There is always another opportunity waiting. I can negotiate respectfully and still fiercely protect my own interests. If I prepare diligently, I can confidently walk away from this deal stronger, not weaker, if it is not the right fit. A strong, confident negotiator does not chase opportunities, they attract them, and that magnetism only manifests when you are operating from a mindset of inherent worth, not debilitating worry. Consider the unseen power of energy. People feel your energy before you'll even utter a single word. Tim Castle emphasizes that your body language, the tone of your voice, your sustained eye contact, and even your breath all communicate who you are and what you genuinely believe about yourself. If you walk into a room as if you intrinsically belong there, people will instinctively treat you accordingly. If you enter feeling nervous, unsure, or apologetic, they will inevitably respond to that underlying insecurity. So, consciously ground yourself. Take a deep, deliberate breath. Stand tall with an open posture. Be still. Know deep in your core that you have earned your seat at that table. You are, in essence, teaching people how to treat you by how you first treat yourself. Building the daily habits of a confident negotiator is not something you reserve for the big, high-stakes negotiation. You build it incrementally every single day. Castle actively encourages developing daily rituals that consistently train and fortify your mindset. Start your day with powerful affirmations. I am powerful. I am prepared. I am persuasive. Practice asking for small things daily. A minor discount, a slight change, an upgrade. These small acts build your courage muscle. Celebrate every single time you speak up, even if the immediate answer is no. Because true lasting confidence is meticulously built in these small, consistent moments. And those cumulative moments are precisely what prepare you for the truly big ones. Final thoughts on mindset. This is your edge. Mindset is not some abstract, feel-good fluff. It is your most potent competitive advantage. Before you meticulously craft your pitch, before you meticulously calculate the numbers, before you even physically enter the room, pause and rigorously check your mindset. Ask yourself these critical questions. Do I genuinely believe I am worthy of more? Am I crystal clear on the unique value I bring to this situation? Am I truly willing to ask boldly and receive fully without reservation? If your honest answer to these questions is the resounding yes, then you are already halfway to achieving success. Because, as Tim Castle profoundly teaches, the most powerful and effective negotiators are not necessarily the smartest individuals in the room. They are, without a shadow of a doubt, the ones who deeply believe they belong there. Chapter 3. Preparation is everything. If confidence forms your unyielding foundation, then preparation, meticulous and thorough, is your impenetrable armor. Tim Castle unequivocally stresses that the vast majority of successful negotiators do not simply wing it. They do not rely solely on charismatic charm, last-minute improvisation, or raw, unadulterated talent. Instead, they consistently walk to every single negotiation armed with exhaustive research, a clear, multifaceted strategy, and absolute clarity of purpose. In this pivotal chapter, Castle pulls back the curtain, revealing the crucial, often unseen, behind-the-scenes work that undeniably separates the amateur from the true master of negotiation. Why does preparation consistently win negotiations? Here is the fundamental truth. The precise moment the conversation actually begins is not the true start of the negotiation. The real game, the defining battle, commences long before you ever take a seat at the table or even pick up the phone. Castle's emphasis is stark and profound. If you have not diligently prepared, you have already compromised your position. Prepared negotiators, by their very nature, control the flow of the discussion. They expertly anticipate potential objections, gracefully guide the narrative in their favor, and deftly avoid being blindsided by unexpected surprises. And most crucially, they meticulously protect and maximize their inherent leverage. Let us dissect what genuine, true preparation truly looks like. 1. Know your goal, a desired outcome. The starting point for any effective negotiations is absolute unwavering clarity. What exactly do you want to achieve from this negotiation? What constitutes your ideal, most favorable outcome? Just as importantly, what is your bare minimum acceptable deal? Your precise walk-away point, beyond which we may proceed. Castle brilliantly coins this as the go anchor principle. Your meticulously defined goal becomes your immutable anchor, the fixed point from which all other fluctuating parts of the conversation will inevitably adjust. If you fail to firmly set your own anchor, the other side will unquestionably set theirs, and you will find yourself in a perpetually reactive stance, instead of confidently leading the discourse. Ask yourself, is your goal specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound? SMART. Have you mentally rehearsed how to articulate your goal with absolute clarity and conviction? Without this foundational clarity, you risk negotiating blindly, adrift without a compass. 2. Understand their position and their pressure. Next, and equally vital, is to deliberately shift your perspective. What does the other side genuinely want? What deep-seated motivations are driving their actions and demands? What specific fears, anxieties, or looming deadlines are influencing their decisions? Tim Castle insists that truly great negotiators are, at their core, great empaths. They think far beyond their own immediate needs and desires. They meticulously map out the intricate web of motives, priorities, and pain points of the individual or entity sitting across the table. Ask yourself, what are their underlying goals? What explicit or implicit pressures are they currently under? What specific outcome would make them feel like they have achieved a significant win? Castle refers to this as strategic empathy. You are not just meticulously preparing your own pitch, you're also diligently preparing to profoundly understand theirs. This empathetic preparation makes your ask infinitely more relevant, powerfully persuasive, and significantly harder for them to refuse. 3. Build your leverage points. Leverage is not a stroke of luck. It is consciously and deliberately built. Castle actively encourages you to systematically identify what specific factors or circumstances grant you strength and advantage in the negotiation. Do you possess unique, indispensable expertise? Is there exceptionally high demand for your particular offer, product, or service? Are there viable, attractive alternatives that you could confidently walk away to if this deal falters? Do they perhaps desperately need a fast, decisive resolution? Leverage is fundamentally about possessing viable options and cultivating the unwavering willingness to strategically utilize them. The more thoroughly prepared you are, the more intrinsic power and influence you inherently carry. And remember, even the subtle perception of leverage can dramatically shift the power dynamics within the room. Walk in as if you have an abundance of excellent options, and the entire room will respond to that confident energy accordingly. 4. Prepare your opening. Set the tone. Never, ever underestimate the profound psychological power of your opening statement. Castle strongly urges you to meticulously script and practice your first few sentences until they flow effortlessly. The precise manner in which you initiate negotiation sets the entire tone for everything that will follow. Are you exuding confidence? Are you respectful, yet undeniably firm? Are you intentionally steering the conversation toward your desired outcome right from the outset? He highly recommends practicing your opening aloud, engaging in mirror rehearsals, or even role-playing with a trusted partner. Your goal should be calm, composed, and impeccably clear communication. No unnecessary fluff, no debilitating hesitation, no hint of doubt. Your very first impression is, in itself, a powerful form of leverage. 5. Anticipate objections and have answers ready. If you have done your meticulous homework, you can predict, with remarkable accuracy, almost every conceivable pushback or objection. Tim Castle strongly recommends listing out every single possible objection or concern the other party might potentially raise. Then, for each one, craft a clear, confident, and compelling response. This dual approach achieves two critical objectives. Firstly, it projects an aura of complete, unshakable preparedness. Secondly, and equally important, it fundamentally removes the paralyzing element of fear from the negotiation process. You have already mentally heard every possible no in your head and formulated your counter. Remember, objections are not outright rejection. They are merely a strong signal that someone is deeply engaged and actively evaluating your proposal. Your primary job is to be ready, not easily rattled. 6. Know when to walk away. Your BITNA. Castle introduces a foundational concept, BITNA, the best alternative to a negotiated agreement. In plain, simple terms, it means this: what will you definitively do if this particular negotiation does not work out to your satisfaction? If you are unclear about your BATNA, you are highly susceptible to settling for far less than you genuinely deserve. However, if you possess absolute clarity on your BATNA, you will negotiate from a profound position of inherent strength, rather than being driven by fear or desperation. Tim's advice is unequivocal. Always know your alternatives. Actively strengthen them in advance. Be mentally and emotionally prepared to walk away from the table if it becomes genuinely necessary. Walking away is not synonymous with failure. Sometimes it is the ultimate strategic win. 7. Prepare the environment. Castle extends his advice to include the careful preparation of logistics. Where, precisely, will the negotiation take place? Who else will be present in the room? How much dedicated time have you allocated for the discussion? Will the setting be formal or informal? These seemingly small, often overlooked elements can profoundly influence the psychological dynamics of the negotiation. For instance, meeting in a neutral setting often levels the playing field. Having ample time reduces undue pressure. Consciously controlling the physical space can build comfort and enhance focus. It is not just about what you articulate. It is critically about where and how you choose to articulate it. 8. Practice mental rehearsal. Before the actual game day, diligently visualize your success. Castle teaches negotiators the powerful technique of mental rehearsal. Picture yourself confidently walking into the room. Clearly hear yourself making bold, assertive asks. Imagine the inevitable pushback and vividly see yourself handling it with smooth, unruffled composure. Visualize the precise outcome you desire, down to the final handshake or the confirmation email. This powerful technique effectively trains your mind and body to perform optimally under pressure. Athletes utilize it. Performers rely on it. World-class negotiators absolutely swear by it. Final thoughts on preparation. Be the most prepared person in the room. Tim Castle's advice is profoundly simple, yet incredibly powerful. If you prepare more thoroughly and meticulously than anyone else involved, you will, without question, win more often than anyone else. Negotiation is not about being slick, cunning, or manipulative. It is fundamentally about being clear, deeply grounded, and strategically ready for every eventuality. So, before your very next negotiation, conscientiously ask yourself, do I know precisely what I want? Do I genuinely understand what they want? Have I accurately identified my leverage points? Am I fully prepared to gracefully handle any objections? Do I possess the unshakable confidence to walk away if necessary? If your honest answer to these questions is a resounding yes, then you are not merely ready to negotiate, you are truly ready to lead. As Castle sagely concludes, preparation does not by itself guarantee the specific result, but it absolutely guarantees your power. Chapter 4. Asking with Authority. How to make bold, clear, irresistible asks. One of the most profound and genuinely powerful insights Tim Castle shares throughout his work is this transformative truth. You do not merely get what you deserve, you get what you ask for with unwavering confidence. In this pivotal chapter, Castle meticulously unravels the intricate psychology and precise strategy that underpins the act of asking. He masterfully demonstrates that the often subtle difference between a spectacularly successful negotiation and a dishearteningly failed one frequently hinges on how clearly, how boldly, and how persuasively you articulate what you genuinely desire. So, why do most people hesitate to ask boldly? Castle meticulously breaks down the common, deeply ingrained reasons people shy away from assertive asking. These include the paralyzing fear of rejection, the apprehension of appearing overly greedy or self-serving, an almost overwhelming desire to be universally liked and accepted, and pervasive uncertainty about their own inherent value. But here is the unvarnished truth that Castle wants you to internalize. Silence in itself, you'll never yield results. Politeness, when devoid of clarity, inevitably leads to profound confusion and misinterpretation. And soft, Vague, apologetic language will, without fail, lead to soft, vague, and ultimately unsatisfactory outcomes. Tim Castle insists, with powerful conviction, that the act of asking is fundamentally an act of leadership. When you ask with undeniable confidence, you seize control of the conversation. You actively create new possibilities that were not there before. You define, with authority, the true value of your proposition. Step 1. Clarity is non-negotiable. Before you even contemplate making an ask, you must achieve a state of laser-like clarity on precisely what you want. Ask yourself these incisive questions. What is the exact numerical figure I am aiming for? What are the specific terms and conditions I am explicitly asking for? What precise timeline or deadline am I targeting for completion? What tangible benefits do I expect to accrue? Vague goals will, without exception, lead to vague, ineffective asks. If you find yourself uttering phrases such as, "I was hoping for something a bit better," or "Do you think we could maybe improve this somehow?" you are, in essence, actively inviting indecision and ambiguity. Instead, adopt a decisive and direct approach. "I am looking for a base salary of $85,000. I would like a 20% equity share in this venture. I need delivery of the final product by June 1st. Specific asks are the undisputed architects of specific, measurable results. Step 2. Speak with authority, not apology. Tim Castle's mantra here is unequivocal. Tone is everything. You could present the exact same request in two entirely different ways and elicit vastly divergent reactions, purely based on the energy you project and the conviction embedded in your voice. Actively avoid weak, self-deprecating openers like, "Would it be okay if I hate to ask, but," or "Sorry to bring this up, but." These phrases are potent signals of insecurity and self-doubt. Instead, consciously employ confident, assertive framing. "What I am looking for is, based on the undeniable value I bring, I am asking for, or I would like to move forward with." When you speak with genuine self-belief, people will instinctively take you seriously. If you sound hesitant or unsure, they will inevitably doubt the legitimacy of your ask, regardless of how inherently reasonable it may be. Step 3. Ask high, anchor strong. This is the crucial juncture where boldness truly pays significant dividends. Castle introduces the powerful concept of anchoring, the strategic act of setting the initial figure or proposal to define the entire perceived range of the negotiation. Why is this so potent? Because the party who anchors first often dictates and controls the subsequent direction of the entire discussion. Tim's advice is clear. Ask above your absolute ideal outcome, but without being absurd or unreasonable. Be meticulously prepared to justify your bold ask with demonstrable value, not merely with emotion and wishful thinking. Never, under any circumstances, Allow fear to unilaterally lower your opening number. For example, if your ideal desired salary is $90,000, do not, under any circumstances, open your negotiation with an offer of $89,900. Instead, anchor confidently at $100,000. By doing so, you deliberately create ample space for the negotiation to naturally land precisely where you genuinely want it to, without ever compromising or undermining your perceived value. Step 4. Shut up after the ask. This is, hands down, one of the biggest and most common mistakes inexperienced negotiators make. Talking too much and too quickly after making their core ask. Castle teaches the immutable ask, then silence rule. Why is this so critically important? Because the very moment you continue talking, you inadvertently undermine your own confidence. You prematurely offer unnecessary concessions. You overtly demonstrate that you are uncomfortable with the value you have just articulated. Instead, make your ask clearly, precisely, and with conviction. Then, simply stop talking. Allow the profound power of silence to do the heavy lifting for you. Silence is an incredibly potent force. It generates subtle yet effective pressure. It grants the other side the necessary space to process your request. And quite often, they will agree or make a concession simply to alleviate the palpable tension of the silence. Step 5. Frame the ask as win-win. Confidence should never be confused with confrontation. Boldness can, and indeed should, still be fundamentally collaborative. Castle masterfully demonstrates how to meticulously structure your ask so that it is not solely about your own benefit, but demonstrably about theirs as well. For example, instead of a blunt, self-serving statement, "I want a higher rate," reframe it strategically. Based on the added responsibilities I have eagerly embraced and the consistent, measurable results I have delivered to date, I firmly believe that a higher rate accurately reflects increased value I am bringing to the table, and critically, it ensures that I can remain fully focused and committed to scaling those results even further for you. This framing powerfully conveys that you have earned your ask, that it concurrently benefits them, and that you are thinking long-term about mutual success. It is no longer perceived as a mere demand. It transforms into a smart, mutually beneficial strategic move for both parties involved. Step 6. Rehearse the ask. If you find yourself fumbling, stuttering, or losing your composure when it truly matters, it is not because you are inherently bad at negotiating. It is almost certainly because you neglect it to practice sufficiently. Tim Castle insists on this point with unwavering conviction. Rehearse your ask aloud. Practice it diligently in front of a mirror, even better, with a trusted friend who can provide constructive feedback. Refine your phrasing and delivery until it feels utterly natural and flows effortlessly. This rigorous practice builds crucial muscle memory. You will not freeze under pressure because you have already been there mentally countless times before. Castle famously says, "The first time you actually say or ask should never, ever be in the actual negotiation room. Own it, practice it, walk in ready, prepared for anything. Step 7. Handle the pushback with grace. Even when you articulate your ask with absolute perfection, you might not receive an immediate, unequivocal yes. This is perfectly normal and an inherent part of the negotiation process. The primary goal is not always to secure precisely what you want on the first try. The goal is to initiate the conversation from a position of undeniable strength. If you encounter resistance or pushback, maintain your composure. Stay calm. Instead of reacting defensively, ask insightful, open-ended questions like, what specific changes would need to occur for this to become a yes for you? Or, help me understand what aspects of this proposal concern you most. Reframe the inherent value of your ask in light of their concerns. Do not fold too quickly or offer premature concessions. Pause, assess, and strategically counter if needed. Remember, pushback is not the end of the line. It is not a personal rejection. It is, quite simply, the negotiation itself. Final thoughts on asking with authority. The world unequivocally rewards those who ask. Tim Castle's message is crystal clear and profoundly empowering. Those who ask win. Ask with absolute clarity. Ask with an undeniable authority. Ask with unshakable belief in your worth. And most importantly, ask often. The vast majority of people never achieve their desired outcomes because they are too afraid, too hesitant, or too intimidated to simply ask. But when you truly know your worth, when you have diligently done the work to earn it, the act of asking is not arrogance. It is profound ownership. So, the next time opportunity presents itself, do not hesitate. Courageously speak your value into the room, because, as Castle concludes, negotiation is not just a highly valuable skill. It is a fundamental choice, a conscious, deliberate choice to speak up for yourself, for your vision, and for your future. Chapter 5. The Power of Listening. How Silence and Empathy Create Advantage. Tim Castle consistently reminds us of a truth that is both counterintuitive and extraordinarily powerful. The most adept and successful negotiators talk less and listen far more. While many mistakenly believe that negotiation is primarily about being overtly persuasive, dominating the conversation, or delivering a flawless sales pitch, Castle brilliantly flips this script. He reveals that the true, enduring advantage in any negotiation lies not in how much you speak, but in the profound practice of deep, active listening, the strategic deployment of silence, and an empathetic understanding that cuts to the core of the other party's needs. Listening, the most underrated weapon in a negotiation. The common perception is that negotiation is about speaking smartly, articulating your points flawlessly. However, Castle argues that the greatest breakthroughs, the truly transformative moments, emerge not from what you say, but from what you profoundly hear. When you listen actively and with intention, you begin to uncover hidden motives, you accurately identify their deepest pain points, you discover their unspoken constraints, and you recognize their most fervent desires. Crucially, you build genuine trust. Castle asserts, The person who listens better wins better. Active listening makes the other party feel genuinely seen, understood, and respected. And when individuals feel truly heard, they become significantly more receptive and open to your influence. Step 1. Stop planning your next move while they talk. One of the most pervasive and damaging mistakes people make is listening just enough to formulate their response, rather than listening with the sole intent to deeply understand. Castle urgently urges, listen not to reply, listen to connect. Instead of mentally composing your next clever line or anticipated comeback, dedicate your full, undivided attention to the speaker. Maintain consistent eye contact, offer affirming nods, and stay entirely present in the moment. Because when the other side senses that you are truly, authentically tuned in, their defensive walls instinctively begin to lower. Step 2. Master the strategic pause. Castle refers to this powerful technique as the silent close. After you have made a significant ask or stated something of critical importance, intentionally say nothing. Why? Because silence, even for a few uncomfortable seconds, creates pressure. It naturally invites the other party to speak first, often prompting them to elaborate or even make a concession. This hands you the upper hand without resorting to any forceful or aggressive tactics. Most people instinctively rush to fill silence because it feels awkward and uncomfortable. But masterful negotiators deliberately utilize that discomfort as a strategic tool. Castle sagely states, your silence is often more powerful than any cleverly constructed sentence. Step 3. Ask open-ended questions that unlock information. Skilled negotiators are not constantly talking. They expertly guide the conversation using intelligent, insightful questions. Here are examples of Castle's go-to open-ended openers. Can you tell me more about what is most important to you regarding this situation? What is your biggest priority or concern in this particular deal? What specific outcome would make this a definitive win for you and your team? These types of questions serve multiple purposes. They uncover what the other side genuinely values. They enable you to tailor your offers more precisely to their needs, and they clearly demonstrate that you are focused on achieving mutual benefit. Remember, negotiation is not about simply taking. It is about wisely and strategically trading. You cannot trade effectively if you do not truly understand what the other person values most. Step 4. Listen for what is not being said. Castle teaches that the unspoken words, the subtext, often carry far more weight and meaning than the overtly spoken words. Pay meticulous attention to their tone of voice, any subtle hesitations, their body language, shifts in their energy, or changes in their posture. For instance, if someone verbally states, "We are pretty comfortable with the timeline," but their body language appears tense, and they consistently avoid eye contact, there are likely deeper, unexpressed concerns beneath the surface. Castle suggests, ask the questions they are not willing to say out loud. That is where the real negotiation truly begins. Step 5. Use empathy as leverage. Empathy is not a sign of weakness. It is a profound display of understanding what the other side deeply cares about. Castle urges you to consistently ask, what does this person genuinely fear losing? What specific outcome would make them look exceptionally good to their superiors or peers? Or do they feel they could potentially lose if this deal does not go their way? When you consciously step into their shoes and view the situation from their perspective, you are not just guessing, you are strategically crafting win-win offers that feel inherently fair, desirable, and mutually beneficial. One particularly powerful line Castle recommends: help me understand what success looks like for you in this deal. That single sentence has the power to transform a potentially competitive negotiation into a deeply collaborative one. Step 6. Mirror and label their emotions. Inspired by highly effective FBI negotiation tactics, Castle integrates two powerful techniques. Mirroring involves calmly and curiously repeating the last few words the other person just said. For example, them, we are worried about delivery speed. You, delivery speed. This gently encourages them to elaborate further without feeling pressured or interrogated. Labeling involves verbally naming the emotion you observe. For example, it seems like you are concerned about the risk involved, or it sounds like this deadline is really important to you. This demonstrates profound understanding, validates their feelings, and effectively diffuses tension. Step 7. Let them feel in control. Here is a secret weapon. People are significantly more likely to agree to a proposal when they genuinely feel it was their idea all along. So, instead of pushing your agenda, skillfully guide them to discover the solution themselves. Do this by listening intently, reflecting their points back, and asking strategic, leading questions. Castle refers to this as the ego release. Allow their ego to win, even if the ultimate outcome subtly favors your position. Because negotiations is not about who gets the credit for winning. It is about making them feel like they have won, which cements their commitment to the deal. Step 8. Do not just listen, record, and repeat. Castle strongly encourages negotiators to take mental or physical notes during crucial conversations. Then, at appropriate later moments, strategically refer back to those notes. For example, earlier you mentioned that delivery was your top concern. You also emphasized that fairness was important to you. Here is how this revised offer directly reflects those priorities. This not only demonstrates your attentiveness and respect, but also builds deep, lasting trust. It powerfully proves that you are not just negotiating, you are genuinely collaborating. Final thoughts on listening. The loudest voice is not always the strongest. In a world often obsessed with constant talking, aggressive selling, and overt persuasion, Tim Castle imparts this timeless and profound truth. The strongest, most effective negotiator is the one who listens with unwavering intention, speaks with precise clarity, and understands with profound empathy. You do not need to be aggressive to win. You do not need to dominate every facet of the conversation. You simply need to be fully present, acutely observant, and deeply attuned to the nuances of the interaction. In silence, we often hear the deepest truths. In committed listening, we earn invaluable respect and in genuine empathy, we win true, lasting influence. Chapter 6. Handling rejection, turning no into opportunity. Rejection. It is a word that most people instinctively dread. It stings the ego, leaves emotional bruises, and often feels like an insurmountable dead end. But in The Art of Negotiation, Tim Castle completely reframes the concept of rejection. He fundamentally explains that a no is not the definitive end of a negotiation. It is, more often than not, merely the beginning. Most people, upon hearing no, will immediately retreat and walk away, perceiving it as a definitive failure. However, skilled negotiators hear no and instinctively lean in. Why? Because behind every no lies a hidden reason, a fear, a limiting constraint, an unaddressed concern, or a misalignment of interests, all waiting patiently to be understood, explored, and ultimately reframed. Castle profoundly states, when someone tells you no, they are not necessarily closing the door. They are inviting you to ask why. Rejection frequently masks the real underlying issues. A no might signify that they do not yet fully trust you. It could mean your current offer does not precisely align with their most pressing needs. It might indicate that they require more information, a longer timeline to consider, or simply more reassurance, but it very rarely, if ever, means never. Castle encourages negotiators to view rejection not as an impenetrable wall, but as a translucent window, an invaluable opportunity to peer deeper, to understand what truly matters to the other party beyond their initial refusal. This approach demands emotional resilience, unwavering mental clarity, and above all, profound curiosity. When you first hear no, your immediate instinct might be to defensively explain your position or to retreat altogether. But Castle urges a different, more powerful response. Pause, take a deep, centering breath, and then, instead of reacting, ask a potent question. What would need to change for this to become a yes? This single sentence has the power to instantly open a constructive dialogue. It invites the other person to articulate their concerns without the fear of judgment. It signals that you are not rigidly pushing your own agenda, but are genuinely seeking a mutually beneficial solution. Most importantly, it deftly shifts a conversation from a confrontational dynamic to a collaborative problem-solving endeavor. Castle reminds us that some of the greatest, most celebrated deals in history actually began with an initial rejection. He shares numerous real-world examples of entrepreneurs, visionary leaders, and seasoned negotiators who faced countless no's before finally reaching their resounding yes. What truly set them apart from the rest was not sheer charm or mere luck. It was their unwavering refusal to take rejection personally. They understood that every no was invaluable feedback. It was raw data. It was a precise direction. It was a golden opportunity to adjust, to refine their approach, and return to the table stronger and more strategically positioned. One of Castle's key techniques for effectively overcoming rejection is called rejection reframing. This strategy involves consciously stripping the emotional sting out of no by viewing it as a natural, expected step in the intricate dance of negotiation. Instead of interpreting no as a definitive failure, you consciously reframe it as measurable progress. For instance, if a client states, "No, this price is simply too high," you do not immediately retreat. Instead, you explore further. Is it the overall investment figure, or perhaps the payment structure, that concerns you most? Or, in your eyes, what kind of value or return would truly justify this investment? This approach invites invaluable clarity. It brings underlying objections to the surface, where they can be directly and constructively addressed. Rejection also serves another vital purpose. It reveals the intrinsic limits and crucial leverage points within any deal. Castle teaches that a no often signals that you have encountered a boundary, but importantly, that boundary itself is negotiable. If you're negotiating a salary and the employer firmly states, "We cannot go any higher," do not consider that the final word. Instead, ask, is there flexibility in benefits packages, remote work options, or perhaps performance-based bonuses? Often people become fixated on a single point of rejection and forget that negotiation is inherently multidimensional. A no in one area might very well lead to a yes in another, if you are willing to creatively explore. Another powerful mindset Castle introduces is the profound idea that rejection actually strengthens your negotiation muscle. Every single time you hear no and consciously choose to stay in the game, you grow stronger, you build deeper resilience, you develop superior emotional control. You learn to effectively manage disappointment without allowing it to hijack your rational decision-making process. In fact, Castle actively encourages negotiators to proactively seek out rejection during practice sessions. Because the more comfortable and familiar you become with hearing no, the more fearless, confident, and ultimately effective you become when it truly counts in high-stakes situations. Yet, handling rejection is not solely about mental toughness. It is also profoundly about emotional intelligence. Castle stresses the paramount importance of empathy in these moments. When someone says no, they might be operating under immense pressure, fearing risk, or feeling uncertain about their own priorities. By demonstrating that you genuinely understand their perspective, even in your moment of disappointment, you build invaluable trust. You showcase maturity and professionalism. You position yourself not as an adversary, but as a thoughtful, understanding partner. This display of emotional intelligence frequently pays significant dividends later in the negotiation process. There is also a distinct tactical advantage in remaining calm and composed in the face of rejection. Castle points out that your reaction to a no communicates everything about your professionalism and your long-term value. If you become flustered, defensive, or emotional, you immediately lose credibility. But if you remain grounded, curious, and poised, you demonstrably project control. And control is profoundly magnetic in negotiation. It signals that you are not desperate, that you are playing the long game, and that you possess an unwavering belief in the value you're offering. In fact, Castle sometimes suggests strategically inviting rejection to purposefully test boundaries and reveal the other party's true priorities. For example, when you deliberately make a bold offer and receive a strong no, you have gained invaluable insight. You have precisely discovered where their line is drawn. That information is priceless. It accurately guides your next move and allows you to recalibrate your strategy without resorting to guesswork. He also issues a crucial warning. Do not confuse rejection with disrespect. A no is merely a response. It is not a reflection of your inherent worth. It is not a personal attack. It is not final verdict. It is simply a signal, and it is your job as a skilled negotiator to calmly and strategically decode that signal. This mental discipline is precisely what separates amateurs from true professionals. Amateurs internalize rejection personally. Professionals process it strategically. One powerful technique Castle employs to handle rejection in real time is the emotional buffer. Before entering any high-stakes conversation, he recommends visualizing potential rejection and mentally rehearsing your calm, focused response. This mental preparation significantly lowers emotional reactivity. It trains your nervous system to remain steady and composed under pressure. Because the truth is, rejection is inevitable in life and negotiation, but emotional collapse is always optional. In moments of rejection, Castle also advises returning to the concept of shared goals. Remind the other party and yourself of the bigger picture. We both want a successful outcome here. I understand your current constraints. Let us explore how we can collaboratively work within them. This reframes the dynamic from potential conflict to shared problem solving. It reminds everyone that rejection is simply a temporary obstacle, not a permanent barrier. Lastly, Castle powerfully highlights the importance of persistence. The most effective negotiators do not hear no once and then quit. They follow up. They check back. They thoughtfully evolve their offer. They remain committed to the relationship. Because many times, a no today transforms into a yes tomorrow. When the timing shifts, priorities change, or trust deepens. But that transformation only happens if you consciously choose to stay in the game. The art of negotiation, Castle insists, is not about ingeniously avoiding rejection. It is instead about transforming it. It is about hearing no and responding with unshakable strength, profound clarity, and an expansive vision. In every rejection lies a hidden opportunity. In every no, there is a latent pathway to yes. For those individuals willing to stay calm, remain endlessly curious, and stay absolutely committed to their desired outcome. Chapter 7. The Science of Confidence Building. Unshakable Presence in Negotiation. Confidence is not an intrinsic trait you are simply born with. It is a meticulously cultivated skill, built incrementally, one negotiation at a time. In this profoundly insightful chapter, Tim Castle delves deep, intricate psychology and precise mechanics of confidence, making it unequivocally clear that an unshakable presence in negotiation is not about overt arrogance, a loud, dominating voice, or an aggressive attempt to control the room. True, authentic confidence is quiet, it is calm, it is deeply centered, and most importantly, it is firmly rooted in diligent preparation, unwavering self-belief, and a clear sense of purpose. Castle begins by directly challenging a pervasive myth that most people mistakenly hold, that confidence is something you either inherently possess or you do not. He comprehensively dismantles this limiting belief, arguing instead that confidence is a direct result. It is the natural byproduct of intimately knowing your material, possessing crystal clear clarity about your inherent value, and cultivating the profound courage to comfortably stand in uncertainty without flinching. You do not passively wait to feel confident before acting. Rather, you take decisive action, and the feeling of confidence naturally follows. In the intense arena of negotiation, your visible level of confidence directly and powerfully impacts the ultimate outcome. People are instinctively attuned to your energy. They sense if you genuinely believe or what you are offering. If they detect hesitation, self-doubt, or a tendency to shrink under pressure, they will, often subconsciously, question your credibility. This is precisely why Castle emphasizes that confidence begins long before you ever physically walk into the negotiation room. It starts with meticulous preparation. When you have diligently done the work, researched the other party's needs, anticipated every conceivable objection, clarified your goals with precision, you enter the room imbued with an undeniable aura of authority. You are not guessing. You are deeply grounded, and grounded individuals are not easily shaken. Castle shares that truly confident negotiators operate from a place of internal certainty rather than seeking external approval. They do not require everyone to like them, nor are they desperate for validation. Their focus remains squarely on delivering value and achieving positive outcomes, not on garnering applause. This profound mindset creates immense power within the negotiation room, liberating you from the paralyzing grip of fear. You are no longer negotiating to be merely accepted. You are negotiating to forge alignment and create tangible impact. Confidence, in this context, becomes your armor, protecting you from manipulative tactics, from intimidation, and from the insidious creep of self-doubt. But how does one build this profound level of confidence if they have never experienced it before? Castle outlines several key, actionable strategies. First, he urgently advises you to systematically collect tangible evidence of your past wins. Create a comprehensive list of successful conversations, deals you have closed, and problems you have expertly solved. Review this list regularly. This conscious process actively rewires your brain to associate yourself with capability, success, and resilience. Second, he strongly recommends daily mindset work. Visualization is a potent tool utilized by top performers across all fields: sports, business, and certainly negotiations. Imagine yourself vividly walking into the room, speaking with absolute clarity, maintaining strong, confident eye contact, and remaining perfectly composed under pressure. Feel it, hear it, practice it repeatedly in your mind until it becomes second nature. This powerful mental rehearsal primes your nervous system for success. Third, Castle stresses the paramount importance of physical presence. Your body language profoundly shapes your internal state. When you consciously stand tall, breathe deeply and deliberately, and move with purpose, your brain registers confidence, even if a flicker of nervousness still lingers inside. This is why posture, tone of voice, and pacing are so critical. Slow down your movements. Speak clearly and articulately, and consciously own the space you occupy. Confidence is often communicated more powerfully through how you carry yourself than through the exact words you utter. He also places great emphasis on language. Confident negotiators meticulously avoid weak, hesitant phrases such as "I think," "maybe," or "I just wanted to." Instead, they employ decisive, positive, and assertive language. "Here is what I propose. This is what I believe," unequivocally adds value, or "let us explore this together." Every single word you choose either reinforces your inherent confidence or subtly undermines it. Choose intentionally. Another crucial pillar of confidence is detachment from outcome. Castle teaches that when you become overly attached to securing a specific yes, you inadvertently relinquish your power. Genuine confidence means knowing that your intrinsic value is not defined by the outcome of this particular negotiation. You may want the deal, but you do not need the deal. That profound sense of freedom creates immense leverage. It subtly manifests in your tone of voice, and it is palpably felt in your body language. You are negotiating from a position of abundance, not desperate need. Confidence also absolutely necessitates emotional regulation. Castle explains that high-stakes situations are inherently designed to trigger adrenaline and stress responses. However, truly confident individuals do not allow these feelings to dictate behavior. They have trained themselves to remain calm under fire. When discussions become tense, they consciously breathe, pause, and respond with deliberate intention rather than uncontrolled reaction. That pause in itself is an incredibly powerful tool. It signals control, grants you precious time to think, and demonstrates to the other party that you are not easily rattled, even when directly challenged. He also introduces the profound idea of anchoring yourself in purpose. When you are crystal clear about why you are negotiating, whether it is to significantly grow your business, provide for your family, or expand your positive impact on the world, you tap into a much deeper, more sustainable source of confidence. It transcends mere ego. It becomes about mission. That powerful mission fuels immense courage. It compels you to speak up, to hold firm on your principles, and to ask for more, precisely because you are doing it for something much grander than yourself. That, Tim Castle reveals, is where true, lasting confidence is genuinely born. Castle further urges negotiators to actively embrace discomfort. Genuine confidence does not originate from skillfully avoiding fear. It emerges from courageously leaning into it. Every single time you step into a conversation that stretches your comfort zone, you grow, you expand your intrinsic capacity, you become unequivocally stronger. He advises, run toward the thing that makes you nervous. That is precisely where your next level of growth and mastery resides. The more consistently you do this, the less power fear will hold over you. Eventually, what once terrified you will gradually become your new comfort zone. That, he concludes, is true growth. That is profound transformation. That is unshakable confidence. He warns fiercely against comparing yourself to others. confidence is not about being inherently better than anyone else. It is fundamentally about being the absolute best version of you. Focus intently on your own lane. Meticulously track your own progress. Celebrate your personal evolution. And never ever forget that the most powerful individual in the rooms is ultimately the one who believes most deeply in themselves, even when no one else yet does. Finally, Castle powerfully reminds us that confidence is inherently contagious. When you enter a negotiation radiating certainty and grounded conviction, others around you feel instinctively safer. They trust you more readily. They are significantly more likely to listen actively, to open up, and to collaborate constructively. Why? Because your confidence radiates clarity. And clarity, in turn, builds strong connections. People inherently want to do business with individuals who make them feel secure and understood. Your unshakable presence thus becomes the very foundation of trust, and trust, ultimately, is the indispensable gateway to successful agreement. In the end, Castle makes it unequivocally clear: confidence is not loud, it is not boastful, it is not performative, it is quiet strength, it is grounded knowing. It is the unwavering courage to stand firmly in your truth, even when the stakes are immensely high. And when you master that profound inner state, you become, quite simply, unstoppable, not just in negotiation, but in every aspect of your life. Chapter 8. The Value Equation. Selling without selling. In this crucial chapter, Tim Castle delves into a fundamental, often misunderstood truth of successful negotiation. People do not primarily buy products or services, they buy value. Yet, far too many negotiators fall into the trap of trying to push their offer like a hard sale, a tactic that invariably creates resistance rather than genuine agreement. Castle terms this the value equation, a secret formula that subtly but powerfully shifts the negotiation dynamic from aggressive selling to collaborative helping, from raw persuasion to genuine partnership. Understanding and mastering this equation means mastering the art of selling without actually selling, which is where the real sustainable power truly lies. Castle begins by explaining that at its very core, every single negotiation revolves around perceived value. What the other party genuinely believes they will gain, or conversely, what they believe they will avoid losing, fundamentally determines their willingness to agree to your terms. The inherent challenge here is that value is profoundly subjective. It varies wildly, depending on the individual's specific needs, deepest fears, highest priorities, and even their immediate emotional state. Therefore, simply listing features, specifications, or prices will not suffice. You must connect deeply with what truly matters to them on an emotional and practical level. This absolute requirement necessitates active listening and profound empathy, two skills that Castle considers non-negotiable in every truly successful deal. He reveals that the value equation is meticulously constructed upon three essential interlocking elements: clarity, relevance, and trust. Clarity means you must clearly and articulately communicate what you are offering and, crucially, how directly and unequivocally addresses the other party's specific needs and challenges. Relevance ensures that your offer is precisely tailored to their unique context, their current circumstances, and their specific goals. Trust is the invisible yet potent glue that binds the entire deal together. It is what genuinely convinces the other party that you will faithfully deliver on your promises and that the agreement is, without doubt, mutually beneficial for both sides. Castle stresses that when these three critical elements align perfectly, resistance, naturally and almost effortlessly, begins to melt away. One of the most important lessons Castle imparts here is to lead with insightful questions rather than declarative statements. Instead of immediately launching into a pitch about your product or service, you strategically ask powerful, open-ended questions that are designed to uncover the other person's priorities, their challenges, and their desired outcomes. For example, instead of saying, "My product is great," ask, "What is your biggest challenge right now with your current provider?" Or, "What specific outcomes are you genuinely hoping to achieve with this project?" This approach creates a true dialogue, not a one-sided monologue, and strategically positions you as a thoughtful partner and problem solver rather than a mere salesperson. It empowers you to customize your offer in real time and demonstrate, beyond doubt, that you truly understand their unique needs. Castle also highlights the inherent danger of focusing too heavily on price early in the negotiation process. Price, he explains, is merely one small piece of the much larger value puzzle. If you initiate the conversation there, you risk prematurely triggering objections and descending into a destructive price war. Instead, deliberately focus on outcomes and benefits first. Paint a vivid, compelling picture of what tangible success looks like with your solution fully implemented. Utilize compelling stories, impactful case studies, and credible testimonials to illustrate how others have achieved remarkable results using your offering. When the other party clearly perceives the real-world impact and immense benefits, price naturally becomes less of a contentious sticking point because they are actively evaluating the value you stand to gain, not just the cost. Another key concept Castle introduces is the idea of value stacking. This involves strategically layering multiple benefits and advantages together to construct an overwhelmingly compelling overall offer. For example, you might skillfully combine superior quality, exceptional service, robust guarantees, accelerated delivery speed, and unparalleled flexibility to build an irresistible package. Even for a single element alone might not justify the price. The cumulative effect of the total package creates a powerful perception of exceptional value. The art lies in highlighting those specific elements that matter most to your counterpart, information you would have diligently discovered through your insightful questioning and active listening. Castle also issues a stern warning against the common mistake of overwhelming the other party with excessive information or overly technical details. Instead, simplicity is your most potent ally. Present your value proposition clearly, concisely, and eloquently. Use simple analogies or vivid metaphors to make complex ideas effortlessly easy to grasp. The overarching goal is to make it utterly effortless for the other party to say yes, because they understand without ambiguity, exactly how your offer solves their problem or fulfills their desire. He stresses that demonstrating unwavering confidence in your own value is absolutely crucial. If you hesitate, stammer, or sound uncertain, the other party will invariably mirror that doubt back to you. Be bold and assertive in your presentation, but scrupulously avoid arrogance. Show genuine conviction, meticulously backed by verifiable facts and compelling examples. When you believe deeply and authentically in the value you bring, it radiates outward, naturally, persuading others. Castle further discusses the critical importance of timing in communicating value. Sometimes it is strategically best to delay any discussion of price or specific terms until the comprehensive value of your offer has been fully and completely established. He calls this the value first principle. When the other party has had the opportunity to fully appreciate the profound benefits and potential returns, they are significantly more likely to be flexible and cooperative regarding price and conditions. This principle aligns perfectly with the psychological tendency of anchoring, allowing you to set the frame of the conversation around substantial benefits before delving into costs. Finally, Castle introduces the empowering concept of selling through service. He reminds negotiators that, at absolute best, negotiation is not a combative battle. It is fundamentally a service exchange. You are actively helping the other party solve the pressing problem or significantly improve their existing situation. When you approach negotiation with this powerful mindset of service, the entire energy shifts. You transform from a mere salesperson into a trusted advisor, true partner, and the deals you subsequently make become inherently stronger, more sustainable, and far longer lasting. This service-oriented mindset also remarkably reduces stress and substantially increases satisfaction for both sides involved. In summary, Chapter 8 teaches that ultimate negotiation success hinges directly on your ability to communicate value with absolute clarity, to genuinely connect that value to the other party's deepest needs, to meticulously build unshakable trust, and to lead with profound empathy. When you truly master the value equation, selling ceases to be a struggle and becomes natural, almost effortless. You are no longer relentlessly pushing your own agenda. You are collaboratively creating mutually beneficial solutions that everyone involved eagerly wants to say yes to. Chapter 9. Mastering the power of silence. Letting others reveal their cards in negotiation. Among the myriad tools available to a skilled negotiator, silence stands as one of the most profoundly powerful and subtly effective you can possibly wield. Tim Castle dedicates this entire chapter to meticulously uncovering the nuanced, transformative art of strategic silence. While many negotiators instinctively feel an almost irresistible compulsion to fill every pause with words, Castle lucidly explains that mastering intentional silence creates invaluable space for deeper insight, for subtle influence, and for genuine control. It is inherently counterintuitive, yet fundamentally true. The less you say, the more the other party will invariably reveal. And often, what they reveal can dramatically alter the entire dynamic and trajectory of the negotiation. Castle begins by acknowledging a universal human discomfort. Silence feels awkward. Humans are biologically and socially wired to actively avoid it, as it can be interpreted as rejection, hostility, or palpable tension. Consequently, many people rush to fill silence with rushed explanations, unnecessary justifications, or premature concessions, inadvertently weakening their own position. But silence, when employed with deliberate intention, transmits an extraordinarily powerful message. You are confident, you are patient, and you are unequivocally in control. You do not need to fill every void to prove your point or validate your stance. He explains that silence triggers a natural, powerful psychological response known as the information gap. When one person consciously stops talking, the other person instinctively attempts to fill that gap by continuing the conversation. This creates a crucial opening for them to disclose more than they originally intended, often inadvertently revealing their true underlying needs, their hidden constraints, or their absolute bottom lines. Castle emphasizes that great negotiators listen profoundly and intently during these moments, capturing invaluable intelligence without uttering a single word. This chapter outlines specific, actionable tactics to leverage silence with maximum effectiveness. One of the most impactful is the after-ask silence. After you have posed a carefully crafted question, especially one designed to probe motivations or uncover objections, pause and remain absolutely quiet. Resist the almost overwhelming urge to interrupt, clarify, or rephrase your question. Give the other party ample room to think, process, and respond fully. More often than not, they will elaborate, provide crucial clarifications, or even subtly soften their stance, furnishing you with fresh, invaluable information to work with. Casso also highlights the compelling power of strategic pauses during critical junctures, such as immediately after making an initial offer or after responding to a counter-offer. Rather than impulsively jumping in to justify or defend your position, intentionally hold the silence. This creates a subtle but potent pressure that can gently nudge the other party toward agreement or a concession. The silence communicates non-verbally that you are confident in your position and patiently awaiting a considered response. It also provides you with invaluable time to observe their body language and their emotional reactions, which are vital, often overlooked cues in any negotiation. Another technique Castle introduces is the reflective silence. When the other party articulates something significant, insightful, or particularly revealing, pause briefly before formulating your response. This demonstrates that you are thoughtfully considering their words and genuinely respect their input. It fosters rapport and actively encourages further openness and disclosure. Reflective silence also helps you consciously avoid reactive, impulsive responses that could potentially undermine your carefully constructed position. Castle cautions against the overuse of silence, which can be misconstrued as cold, calculating, or even manipulative. The overarching goal is to balance the strategic deployment of silence with genuinely engaged listening and thoughtful, deliberate responses. Silence should always be used intentionally, never awkwardly. He recommends practicing intentional silence in everyday conversations to become more comfortable with its presence and to actively observe its surprising effects. The chapter further explores how cultural differences profoundly impact the use and interpretation of silence. In some cultures, longer pauses are perfectly normal and expected, signifying thoughtfulness and respect, whereas in others, they might cause significant discomfort or be interpreted negatively. Castle advises negotiators to be acutely mindful of the cultural context and to gracefully adjust their use of silence accordingly. Understanding these subtle nuances can deepen trust and prevent costly misunderstandings. Castle shares compelling real-world stories of negotiators who clinch advantageous deals simply by maintaining their silence and allowing the other party to fill the void. One memorable example involves a sales negotiation where the buyer initially resisted the proposed price. Instead of immediately reacting, the seller paused and remained perfectly silent, which prompted the buyer to unexpectedly confess they actually had more budget flexibility than they had initially disclosed. This crucial revelation completely transformed the negotiation dynamic and ultimately led to a better outcome for both parties. He also explains that silence is a highly effective tool for managing emotions during tense negotiations. When discussions become heated or emotionally charged, pausing before responding effectively diffuses tension and prevents rapid escalation. It grants both sides invaluable space to reset, regain composure, and approach the problem more rationally. Silence, in these moments, becomes a powerful tool for emotional intelligence, enabling you to maintain composure and think clearly under intense pressure. Finally, Castle eloquently connects silence with one of the most important principles of successful negotiation: patience. Negotiation is rarely, if ever, won by rushing, by aggressively pushing, or by demanding immediate results. Often, the best, most mutually beneficial deals emerge when you allow conversations to unfold naturally, giving the other party ample time to process information, consider options, and make a well-thought-out decision. Silence embodies patience in action. It serves as a powerful reminder that sometimes doing less is, in fact, significantly more. In conclusion, Chapter 9 teaches us that silence is far more than merely the absence of sound. It is a dynamic, active force in negotiation that can reveal hidden truths, meticulously build rapport, and powerfully shift the balance of. When you consciously embrace silence, resist the urge to fill it, and listen profoundly and intently, you create fertile ground for transformative breakthroughs. Mastering silence is mastering control, patience, and profound influence. And those who genuinely harness this often overlooked skill gain a decisive, undeniable edge in every negotiation they undertake. Chapter 10: Building Win-Win Agreements, the Foundation of Lasting Deals. In this crucial chapter, Tim Castle emphasizes that the defining hallmark of a truly successful negotiation is the profound ability to consistently create win-win agreements, deals that not only satisfy the explicit interests of all parties involved, but also, crucially, establish a robust foundation for enduring, long-term relationships. While many negotiators are instinctively wired to focus solely on winning the immediate battle, Castle argues compellingly that sustainable success, the kind that truly builds empires and fosters deep trust, originates from mutual benefit and shared trust. These vital ingredients only emerge when both sides walk away genuinely feeling like victorious participants. This chapter is therefore dedicated to understanding the nuanced art and science of structuring agreements in such a way that everyone genuinely gains, and cooperation, rather than competition, profoundly flourishes. Castle opens by dissecting and explaining the inherent dangers of zero-sum thinking, a prevalent mindset where one party's gain is automatically perceived as the other party's irrevocable loss. This competitive, adversarial perspective invariably leads to grudging concessions, minimal trust, and ultimately fragile, easily broken relationships. In stark contrast, win-win negotiation deliberately focuses on expanding the pie before attempting to divide it. This involves creatively exploring innovative solutions that expertly meet the underlying needs and interests of all parties, rather than just their stated positions. When negotiators consciously pursue win-win outcomes, they cultivate immense goodwill and open wide the door to a multitude of future opportunities, transforming one-off transactions into long-term partnerships. To achieve this collaborative nirvana, Castle highlights the paramount importance of clearly identifying interests, not as positions. Positions are simply what people verbally state they want, often a superficial demand, whereas interests are the deeper, fundamental reasons behind those wants, the true motivations, fears, and desires. For instance, while a stated position might be a demand for a significantly lower price, but their deeper interest could be staying within the stringent budget, managing perceived risks, or ensuring long-term product reliability. By diligently digging beneath these surface demands, skilled negotiators uncover shared interests or complementary goals that enable innovative and mutually beneficial trade-offs. Castle provides an array of practical strategies for uncovering these hidden interests, including the use of probing open-ended questions, intense active listening, and a genuine commitment to collaborative problem-solving. Castle also vigorously stresses the immense value of transparency and honesty in win-win negotiation. While he wisely cautions against revealing too much sensitive information too soon, he unequivocally argues that sharing relevant information builds profound trust and significantly reduces suspicion and perceived adversarial intent. When both parties possess a clear, shared understanding of each other's genuine priorities and inherent constraints, they are exponentially more likely to work together cohesively toward mutually acceptable and sustainable solutions. This intentional openness transforms negotiation from a contentious contest of wills into a joint, cooperative effort to create maximum value for all. The chapter further dives into the practical mechanics of crafting agreements that truly embody win-win principles. Castle passionately advocates for flexibility in terms and conditions, actively encouraging negotiators to think far beyond mere price and rigid deadlines. He suggests thoughtfully incorporating elements such as tailored payment plans, performance-based incentives, robust warranties, and collaborative clauses that explicitly address concerns on both sides. By thoughtfully broadening the overall scope of negotiation, parties often discover novel and unexpected ways to satisfy their core interests, leading to richer, more comprehensive agreements. Castle introduces the clever concept of log rolling, which fundamentally means trading off concessions on issues of unequal importance to each party. For example, one party might prioritize lightning-fast delivery speed above all else, while the other places supreme value on flexible payment terms. By strategically conceding on less critical points and gaining substantially on critical ones, both parties dramatically improve their overall outcome and perceived satisfaction. This sophisticated technique absolutely requires a deep understanding of what genuinely matters most to each side and the creative acumen to package the deal in an innovative way. Another key insight is the indispensable role of fairness in win-win agreements. Humans are inherently and powerfully motivated by a profound sense of justice and equity. Agreements that are perceived as fair are vastly more likely to be honored, respected, and upheld without contention. Castle advises negotiators to explicitly discuss fairness criteria and objective standards, such as prevailing market rates, established industry precedents, or independently verified benchmarks. Aligning on what truly constitutes fairness drastically reduces potential conflict and significantly strengthens long-term commitment to the agreement. Castle also meticulously addresses the critical importance of clear communication and thorough documentation. A robust win-win agreement must be precise, unambiguous, and have all terms meticulously spelled out in writing. This absolute clarity proactively prevents misunderstandings, eliminates future disputes, and provides a clear, undeniable reference point if any disagreements arise later. Castle powerfully underscores that truly effective negotiators view agreements not merely as legal contracts, but as profound commitments to shared, mutual success. Throughout the chapter, Castle enriches his teachings with compelling real-world examples where the application of win-win thinking utterly transformed seemingly deadlocked negotiations. One memorable story illustrates a scenario where a supplier and client were locked in a bitter dispute over pricing, but through an empathetic exploration of interests, they discovered a shared, unexpected interest in collaboratively co-developing a completely new product line. By deftly shifting the focus from a narrow price dispute to a broader, collaborative partnership, they masterfully crafted an agreement that generated substantial additional revenue and cemented a long-term, highly fruitful collaboration. Such inspiring stories powerfully reinforce that win-win deals unlock immense potential far beyond the scope of immediate transactional gains. Castle concludes by powerfully reminding readers that building truly win-win agreements demands a particular mindset, honed skill, and persistent effort. It requires immense patience, profound empathy, and boundless creativity. But the rewards, he assures us, are truly substantial. Vastly stronger relationships, deeper, more resilient trust, and consistently superior long-term results. Negotiators who master this holistic, collaborative approach not only closed better, more advantageous deals, but also solidify their reputation as invaluable, trusted partners within their respective industries. In essence, Chapter 10 teaches that the heart of negotiation is not about defeating the other party, but rather about consciously and collaboratively working together to forge agreements that genuinely benefit everyone involved. Win-win agreements are the unshakable foundation upon which lasting, fruitful relationships are meticulously built. And mastering this profound art is, without doubt, a defining characteristic of exceptional, world-class negotiators. Chapter 11. Negotiation Ethics, Building Trust and Maintaining Integrity. In this vital chapter, Tim Castle dedicates his focus to the critical role that ethics play in every negotiation, emphasizing with profound conviction that trust and integrity are the unshakable bedrock of long-term success. While some individuals may mistakenly perceive negotiation as a cutthroat battlefield where any tactic, however questionable, is justified in the pursuit of victory, Castle argues compellingly that ethical behavior not only meticulously preserves your invaluable reputation, but perhaps precisely actively strengthens your negotiating power. This chapter comprehensively explores how consistently adhering to high ethical standards builds robust relationships, fosters genuine cooperation, and ultimately ensures the creation of durable, resilient agreements that stand the test of time. Castle opens by providing a clear, actionable definition of negotiation ethics. These are the guiding principles that steer fairness, honesty, and mutual respect throughout the entire negotiation process. He highlights common ethical dilemmas that negotiators frequently encounter, such as navigating how much information is appropriate to disclose, effectively handling misrepresentations or outright deceptions from the other side, and formulating appropriate responses to manipulative tactics. Castle stresses unequivocally that choosing ethical conduct is not merely morally righteous, but is, in fact, pragmatically beneficial. It is good for business and good for your future. The chapter profoundly explains that trust is, in essence, the fundamental currency of negotiation. When parties genuinely trust each other, they are far more inclined to communicate openly and transparently, to proactively reduce misunderstandings, and to reach agreements with remarkable efficiency. Castle astutely points out that trust is an incredibly fragile commodity, easily shattered by a single act of deceit or bad faith, yet it can be meticulously nurtured and fortified through consistent honesty, unwavering reliability, and predictable integrity. Negotiators who prioritize and successfully build trust gain a significant competitive advantage because counterparts instinctively prefer to do business with individuals and entities they genuinely believe are fair, truthful, and honorable. Castle discusses the nuanced importance of transparency, which must be carefully balanced with strategic discretion. While savvy negotiators must, of course, diligently protect genuinely confidential information and their strategic bottom lines, intentionally withholding critical facts or deliberately misleading the other side unequivocally crosses clear ethical boundaries. Castle wisely recommends being truthful about your fundamental interests and immutable constraints, without prematurely revealing sensitive tactics or your ultimate walkaway points. This balanced approach respectfully acknowledges the other party's position, while shrewdly maintaining your strategic edge. The chapter also comprehensively covers how to effectively handle situations where the other party regrettably acts unethically. Castle advises confronting such behavior calmly, firmly, and professionally, without ever resorting to retaliatory tactics or succumbing to deception yourself. He strongly encourages negotiators to explicitly set clear expectations about acceptable conduct at the very outset of any interaction, and to be resolutely prepared to walk away from the table if fundamental ethical boundaries are irrevocably violated. Walking away in such scenarios can send an incredibly powerful message that unethical tactics will not be tolerated and carry significant consequences. Castle emphatically emphasizes that ethical negotiation inherently fosters lasting relationships that extend far beyond individual transactions. He shares compelling examples where negotiators who consistently prioritized integrity were repeatedly chosen as trusted partners, leading to a cascade of more opportunities, more favorable terms, and deeper collaborations in the future. Conversely, those who habitually relied on deceit, manipulation, or aggressive tactics invariably faced irreparably damaged reputations and inevitably lost business. The chapter explores the fascinating and often complex variations in ethical norms across different cultures, stressing the immense importance of understanding and respectfully accommodating these differences. What might be considered perfectly acceptable in one cultural context could be viewed as profoundly unethical in another. Castle urges negotiators to diligently research prevailing cultural standards and to thoughtfully adapt their behavior accordingly, always showing respect and proactively preventing misunderstandings. Castle highlights the indispensable role of personal values in guiding sound ethical decisions. He strongly encourages readers to reflect deeply on their own core principles and to clearly define their individual ethical boundaries well before entering any negotiation. Possessing a clear moral compass empowers negotiators to make consistent, principled choices and to steadfastly resist external pressures to compromise their integrity for short-term gains. The chapter also introduces a powerful concept of principled negotiation, a method where negotiators focus squarely on mutual interests, objective criteria, and fair standards, rather than engaging in rigid positional bargaining or aggressive power plays. This highly effective method, popularized by renowned negotiation experts like Roger Fisher and William Ury, aligns seamlessly with ethical negotiation practices and consistently leads to more sustainable, mutually beneficial outcomes. Throughout the chapter, Castle shares an array of practical tips for rigorously maintaining ethics in negotiation, such as meticulously documenting all agreements with clarity, scrupulously avoiding exaggeration or hyperbole, and being forthright and honest about any mistakes made. He stresses that integrity builds deep confidence, both within yourself and in your counterparts, and significantly reduces the need for costly enforcement mechanisms or protracted litigation down the line. Castle concludes by asserting that ethics, are not a limiting constraint, but a profound source of strength in negotiation. Acting with unwavering integrity creates deep, resilient trust, actively opens new doors of opportunity, and unequivocally establishes you as a credible, highly respected negotiator. In a world where genuine trust is increasingly scarce, ethical negotiators truly stand out, achieving not just better deals, but also more enduring and impactful results. In summary, Chapter 11 teaches that ethics and unwavering integrity are absolutely essential to achieving profound, lasting success in negotiation. Building trust through consistent honesty, demonstrable fairness, and genuine respect not only strengthens crucial relationships, but also significantly enhances your negotiating power and bolsters your long-term reputation. By consciously committing to ethical conduct, you lay an unshakable foundation for ongoing success and the creation of truly mutually beneficial agreements. Chapter 12. Building rapport, the foundation for successful negotiations. Tim Castle emphatically underscores that building rapport is not just a pleasant courtesy, but a fundamental, indispensable step in any successful negotiation. It is the crucial act that establishes trust, facilitates open communication, and actively opens the door to genuine collaboration. Rapport, at its core, is the authentic connection and mutual understanding that develops between negotiators, helping to soften differences, bridge divides, and create a positive, conducive atmosphere for effective problem-solving. Castle begins by explaining precisely what rapport truly means beyond superficial pleasantries. It is far more than mere friendly small talk. It is a profound, genuine connection rooted in respect, empathy, and deep understanding. When true rapport exists, negotiators are inherently more willing to listen actively, to openly share valuable information, and to diligently seek common ground, thereby significantly reducing resistance and dispelling suspicion. A negotiator with strong rapport finds their counterpart more receptive, less defensive, and more inclined towards finding a solution that works for everyone. This chapter outlines practical, actionable ways to meticulously build rapport early in any negotiation process. Castle highlights the immense importance of nonverbal cues and body language, recommending actions such as maintaining appropriate eye contact, offering genuine smiles, and subtly mirroring the other person's posture and tone. These actions create subconscious signals of affinity and shared understanding. He explains that people naturally feel more comfortable and connected with those who subtly reflect their style and mood, fostering a sense of familiarity and ease. Castle also extensively discusses the critical role of active listening in effective rapport building, showing sincere, genuine interest by asking insightful, open-ended questions, accurately summarizing their key points to confirm understanding, and empathetically acknowledging the other party's feelings, or cultivate a powerful sense of being truly heard and profoundly valued. This attentive approach makes counterparts significantly more open, more trusting, and ultimately more cooperative. Another key technique Castle covers is the strategic identification of shared interests or commonalities. Whether it is a mutual professional background, shared hobbies, a common friend, or similar long-term goals, Pinpointing these connections humanizes the interaction. It deftly shifts the focus from potential conflict or competition to collaborative aspiration. Castle advises subtly introducing such points early in the conversation to consciously establish a cooperative rather than adversarial tone from the outset. The chapter explains that humor and light, appropriate conversation can be incredibly powerful rapport builders when used judiciously. Castle wisely cautions against forced or insensitive jokes that could backfire, but he strongly encourages negotiators to use well-timed, genuine humor to relieve tension, break the ice, and create a friendly, approachable atmosphere. A genuine smile or a shared laugh can significantly ease stress and make negotiations more enjoyable and productive for all parties involved. Castle also touches upon the paramount importance of respect and authenticity. Rapport that is built on genuine earned respect is far more enduring and demonstrably more effective than superficial friendliness or feigned interest. Being consistently honest, transparent, and respectful, even and especially when there are disagreements, strengthens relationships and ensures that discussions remain constructive and focused on solutions rather than devolving into personal attacks. Castle illustrates how cultural awareness plays an undeniable role in effectively building rapport. Different cultures have diverse norms regarding communication styles, appropriate levels of eye contact, and acceptable personal space. Showing sensitivity, doing your research, and gracefully adapting to these cultural differences prevents misunderstandings, avoids unintended offense, and ultimately builds deeper, more robust connections. This cultural intelligence is a hallmark of truly global negotiators. The chapter highlights the profound impact of well-established rapport on conflict resolution. Negotiators who have successfully built good rapport are significantly better equipped to handle disagreements calmly, to navigate contentious points gracefully, and find creative, mutually acceptable solutions without unnecessarily escalating tensions. Rapport fundamentally transforms negotiation from a potential battleground into a cooperative problem-solving process, where both sides are invested in a shared, positive outcome. Castle shares compelling real-world examples where negotiators who consciously invested dedicated time and effort in building genuine rapport achieved not only better deals, but also fostered enduring, highly valuable ongoing partnerships. He contrasts these successes with situations where a palpable lack of rapport led to pervasive mistrust, rigid, unyielding positions, and ultimately failed negotiations or suboptimal outcomes. These stories underscore that rapport is not a nice to have, but must have. Finally, Castle emphasizes that building and maintaining rapport is an ongoing effort, not a one-time event. It is a continuous process. Sustaining rapport through consistent, respectful follow-up communication, faithfully honoring commitments, and demonstrating continued respect ensures the longevity of relationships far beyond the immediate negotiation. In summary, Chapter 12 teaches that building genuine rapport through conscious body language, active and empathetic listening, identifying shared interests, appropriate humor, unwavering respect, sincere authenticity, and keen cultural sensitivity creates an incredibly strong, fertile foundation for successful, collaborative negotiations. Rapport has the transformative power to turn potential adversaries into trusted partners and actively opens the way to agreements that not only satisfy but delight all parties involved. Chapter 13. Mastering Negotiation, Your Path to Lasting Success. As we reach the culmination of the art of negotiation, Tim Castle skillfully draws together all the essential lessons learned throughout this journey, powerfully reminding us that negotiation mastery is a sophisticated blend of both art and science. It is a highly refined skill, meticulously developed over time through consistent practice, diligent self-reflection, and an unwavering commitment to continual learning. This final chapter serves as a potent conclusion, designed to inspire unshakable confidence and provide a clear, actionable roadmap for becoming a consistently successful, ethical, and influential negotiator in every aspect of your life. Castle begins by reiterating a fundamental truth. Negotiation is ubiquitous. It permeates every corner of our existence, from high-stakes business deals and intricate corporate transactions to deeply personal relationships, family discussions, and countless everyday interactions. Mastering this universal skill is not merely about gaining an advantage. It actively unlocks new opportunities, profoundly strengthens existing connections, and empowers you to advocate effectively and authentically for your own needs, while simultaneously understanding and respecting the needs of others. He passionately encourages us to embrace negotiation as a positive, collaborative, and value-creating process, rather than viewing it as a combative contest to be won at all costs. This chapter succinctly summarizes the key pillars, meticulously covered throughout the entire audiobook: meticulous preparation, crystal clear communication, acute emotional intelligence, unwavering ethical behavior, creative problem solving, and the indispensable art of building genuine rapport. Castle stresses that no single tactic, no matter how clever or well executed, guarantees success on its own. Rather, it is the synergistic integration of all these elements that creates a holistic, robust approach, one that is adaptable, resilient, and highly effective in virtually any negotiation scenario you might encounter. Castle places significant emphasis on the paramount importance of self-awareness in the journey toward negotiation mastery. Genuinely knowing your inherent strengths and honest weaknesses, skillfully managing your emotions under pressure, and deeply understanding your personal negotiation style allows you to consciously play to your advantages and proactively work on areas that require improvement. Deliberate, honest reflection after each negotiation, regardless of its outcome, is a powerful accelerant. It sharpens your skills, refines your judgment, and builds invaluable wisdom that only comes from experience. The chapter highlights the transformative power of mindset, viewing negotiation as an exciting opportunity to create mutual value and forge stronger relationships automatically opens a world of possibilities rather than triggering defensiveness or anxiety. Castle strongly encourages cultivating patience, unwavering persistence, and profound resilience. It is vital to recognize that setbacks, disappointments, and no's are not failures, but inherent, natural parts of the growth and learning process. They are valuable data points, not final verdicts. Castle revisits the crucial role of ethics and trust, reinforcing the message that your reputation as an honest, fair, and principled negotiator is, without doubt, your most valuable, non-depreciating asset. Consistently maintaining integrity not only builds long-term, powerful partnerships, but also opens doors to future opportunities and favorable terms that extend far beyond any single deal. The chapter serves as a powerful reminder to remain steadfastly committed to your core values, even when confronted with immense pressure or tempting shortcuts. Next, Castle delves into the essential aspect of continuous learning and adaptation. The negotiation landscape is dynamic and ever-evolving, constantly shifting with changing market conditions, diverse cultural contexts, and emerging technologies. Staying perpetually curious, actively seeking constructive feedback, and diligently studying new methods and strategies ensures that your skills remain sharp, relevant, and cutting-edge. Castle advises consciously surrounding yourself with mentors and peers who not only challenge you to grow, but also genuinely inspire you to reach higher levels of excellence. Castle also vigorously encourages the active practice of negotiation on a regular basis, even in seemingly low-stakes, everyday situations. This consistent practice is key to building confidence, enhancing fluency, and developing an intuitive grasp of negotiation dynamics. Role-playing exercises, simulated scenarios, and real-world negotiations, no matter how small, all contribute significantly to your skill development. The more frequently and intentionally you negotiate, the more naturally and effortlessly you will apply foundational principles, intuitively innovate strategies, and adeptly adapt to unfolding circumstances. The final chapter powerfully inspires readers to perceive negotiation not merely as a transactional tool for securing deals, but as a profound life skill, a skill that dramatically enhances personal growth, amplifies leadership capabilities, and expands your sphere of influence in meaningful ways. Castle shares compelling stories of individuals who completely transformed their careers, enriched their personal relationships, and achieved remarkable breakthroughs by wholeheartedly embracing negotiation mastery, underscoring its profound and far-reaching impact. Castle closes with a deeply motivational and empowering message. The path to mastery is an ongoing journey, not a fixed destination. Every single conversation you engage in presents a golden opportunity to practice and refine your skills. Every challenge you face is a unique opportunity to learn, adapt, and grow. By making a steadfast commitment to personal growth, meticulous preparation, unwavering ethics, and genuine connection, you can navigate even the toughest, most complex negotiations with grace, confidence, and profound effectiveness. In conclusion, Tim Castle's The Art of Negotiation is far more than an audiobook. It is a comprehensive guide that equips you with the indispensable knowledge, strategic insights, and an empowered mindset required to negotiate effectively, ethically, and consistently. This final chapter leaves you not just informed, but profoundly empowered to take decisive control of your negotiations and, by extension, your entire future, transforming challenges into collaborative triumphs and ambitious goals into undeniable achievements. Thank you for joining us on this journey.